I'm having issues over here. All right, let's try. All right, this is weird. There we go. Here we go. All right. And we're live over there. Lovely. All right. Thought I had my alignment on the floor good, but apparently I don't. Hey, I need you off the mat, mister. Scooch. Thank you. All right. So you can see that. You can see that. All right, you guys. So who is ready to chill out? How are we doing? All right. There's Boba. This is Boba Fett. Boba Pet, actually. If you're a Star Wars fan, that makes sense to you. If you're not, it's just goofy. All right. So, just as a reminder, next week we won't be live here, but we will be live. If I can speak, we will be live anyway, at our virtual retreat. So I think, I'm pretty sure I talked about this last week. I would love for us all to be able to run away to some amazingly warm, beautiful location for a week of feasting on really good, yummy, maybe even vegan food. Maybe not, right? That's not your thing. Doing yoga 10 times a day and hiking and boating and all kinds of crazy stuff. But that's not happening right now, right? So we're going to do a virtual retreat. And you can be in the comfort of your own home and do this retreat. It's 3 hours long, so it's obviously way shorter than a real retreat, right? But it's also way cheaper. So that's a good thing. And you can access it at any time too. So next weekend, if 3 hours in the morning doesn't work for you, it will be recorded. So I've put a link on the YouTube, and I will put a comment in on the video here before we're done with a link to the details. So if you want to join, you can join it. It is free if you're a member of Anyday Yoga, if you're a paid member on anydayyoga.com. I always have to say the paid member part. So feel free to check that out. There is, if you don't want to become a member, there is a fee for it. So you can get all the details in the link that I have and that I will put up. So today, because this time of year is so, we're kind of disjointed, right? Monday, 21st, Monday, is the shortest day, the shortest amount of light for the year, right? And we try to combat that by having festivals of light and all our Christmas lights and everything like that. But I sometimes, a lot of times, feel more drawn to that idea of drawing inward, right? Animals hibernate in winter time, right? So when there's less light, it's colder. So nature kind of draws in, except in Florida maybe, the leaves drop off the trees, everything just draws inward, right? So I kind of like that idea. So today we're going to do that, right? And ideally in yoga, when you practice, you're drawing inward anyway, right? But there's a lot of times there's big things to do, like sun salutes and stuff like that we have to really work for. Today we're barely going to get up off the mat. Doesn't mean you don't have to work at all, right? But we're going to keep it quieter, right? A little bit more closed up. So we will do a little bit of front body just to balance, but we'll do a lot of folding, right? And a lot of more not easier, but less challenging maybe movements, right? So listen to your body either way. And if you need to bump something up because you just feel like you're being too lazy or something, that's totally fine, right? But you can get a really nice chill idea going on here too, right? Chill in the air, the chill on the mat. So let's do this here. Aligning your heels to your groin. Take your inner thigh rotation. And just sit upright on the pelvis. If you have props, certainly use your props here. Make sure the belly is working. So lift the pelvic floor, lower belly in and up, engaging tall through the sides. So even though we're not working quite as hard, it still works. The belly still works to help everything else. Relax your hips, your shoulders. Go ahead and close your eyes. And start that idea of drawing inward here. So just being completely present in your body on your mat at this moment. You don't have to do anything. Begin to notice your breath. And gently allow it to stretch out. Finding that nice, full, just beyond comfortable place for the breath. And for now, even go ahead and keep your eyes closed, keeping the mind inwardly focused. Sometimes closing the eyes helps us keep our mind where it's supposed to be. Let's go ahead and stretch the arms out to the sides. And with the inhale, reach them up toward the ceiling. Exhaling to bring them back down again. We'll do that again, inhaling up. And exhaling back down. Once more like that. Sitting up nice and tall here. Let's bring the left hand to the right knee and the right hand just back behind the body. Give yourself just the tiniest little twist over to the right. Nice and gentle to begin. Make sure the spine feels long. And then we're going to release that, coming back through the center. Take it over to the left. And then release it back to the center again. So from here, you can still keep your eyes closed. Come around onto hands and knees. And just take a moment to find the four corners of the hands up underneath the shoulders. Even on the knees, right underneath the hips. And then moving in through some cat-cows to begin here. On the inhale, drop the belly toward the floor. And then exhale and round the spine toward the ceiling. Flowing in and out of those two poses, take your time. Connecting the breath to the movement through the spine. Gently stretching into those tighter spots. Take one more flow like that. In and out. And then just bring your spine back to neutral when you're through. And you can absolutely leave your eyes closed here, but maybe not. Extend the right leg straight back. Heel in line with the hip, and the toes are rotated toward the floor. So if you feel the right hip kicked up a little bit, bring it level to the left. Make sure your belly is engaged, and then stretch the left arm forward. Reach away from the body powerfully in opposite directions here. So that it's not just your hand and knee holding you, the muscles in the body are working. And then we're going to release that back down again. Switching sides, go ahead and extend the left leg and the right arm. Take your time here. And if it's easy, go ahead and close your eyes. See what happens. Release it back down again. And then we're going to switch. Go ahead and move back to that first side. Right leg, left arm. Hold the belly. Take the arm out to the left and bring the leg around to the right. And stretch in opposite directions here. And you may wobble. Try not to lean too much with the hips. Let the hand come back down. We're going to take the toes over to the side here. Come on up on the knee. Heel in line with the hip, the toes point forward, hips are square. Let's extend the left arm toward the ceiling, and we're going to reach over the outside of the right leg here. And let the left shoulder draw back a little bit if that feels good. Take another nice big breath. And then we'll bring it back up to center. Release the hands back to the floor. And then lift the leg, hold it out there for just another moment. Take it back and down. So same idea to the second side here, extending the left leg and the right arm when you're ready. Take your time, get set here. And then take it out to the sides, arm to the right, leg to the left. Bring the arm to the mat or the hand to the mat, the toes over to the side here, and go ahead and come up on your right knee. So aligning, take your time, take the right arm toward the ceiling and reach over the outside of the leg here. And we'll bring it back up to center. Release the hands. Get set here. Make sure your belly's working. Lift that leg, hold it out. And then take it back. And then knee back to the floor again. So let's go back to that right side, or the right leg and left arm one more time. And then bending at the knee this time, take your left hand and see if you can reach back for your right foot. So maybe the balance is the issue, maybe finding the foot is the issue. If you got that, you can press the foot into the hand and maybe lift your toes a little higher. And then we're gently going to release, stretch back out again. Come on down into all fours. And then switch sides. So left leg, right arm. Last one here on the hands and knees like this. When you're ready, bend at the knee, find your foot. And then you work where you work, right? So if you're struggling with the balance or you're challenged with the balance, that's where you are. If maybe the foot is not there, or you can't find it anyway yet, then that's where it is, right? Let's gently release that, stretch out long first, and then back into all fours. Nice and easy here. Go ahead and sit the hips back toward the heels and let yourself come to child's pose. And your first child's pose may or may not be super comfortable, so let it be where it is. If you don't sit the hips back quite as far, if you maybe rest your head on your hands rather than on the floor, you can play with that. Take another big breath. And then go ahead and make your way back up onto that all fours position again. From here, we're going to take the right hand palm face up. Weave it underneath here between the hand and the knee, and maybe just set your elbow on the floor. If that's really no big deal, continue to reach over to the left here and set your shoulder down on the mat. So again here, the hips want to shift all the way over to the right to make this happen. Try to stay as centered and even on your knees as you can. So the shoulder is what gives, not the hip so much. And make sure your head and neck are comfortable. You don't want to be leaning on your face here. So you can make this a little bit deeper. Pressing into the right arm, you can kind of feel your belly rotate around toward the ceiling a little bit, at least mentally, muscularly. Pressing the left hand into the floor, let that elbow point toward the ceiling, and imagine stacking your left shoulder on top of your right. And you can stay here, or this left arm can maybe extend up toward the ceiling. Try not to let the shoulder collapse. Stretch away from the body here. So your neck is still comfortable. You've still got this nice twist. If you want to play, you can step the left foot back, coming away from the knee, and then maybe lift the toes away from the floor. So just listen to your body. There are plenty of places to be. Again, making sure the head and neck stay perfectly comfortable wherever else you go. Releasing that, come on back down. And we'll make our way to all fours. So that same idea to the second side may not look the same, but let's go. Take the left hand, weave it under. Elbow can come down, that's good, right? If you want more, continue to stretch over to the right here, bringing the shoulder to the mat. So any variation, as long as your neck and head stay comfortable. You can press more into the arm, into the fingertips here. You can lift the hand, you can lift the toes. Make sure you're breathing wherever you are. And then nice and easy here, make your way back down and into your all fours again. Taking the hands a handprint-ish forward or the knees back, depending on where you are. Coming into a kneeling plank. The belly's still working so the hips don't sag. From there, lifting the knees away from the floor, let's make our way toward down dog. And just let yourself move and stretch here. Gradually begin to settle in. Sinking back through the heels. Let's step the right foot forward and come into a lunge. We're going to drop the back knee to the floor so the toes can make it all the way to the fingers if they don't by themselves. And then when you're ready, take the right leg straight. So folding over the leg here, keep the shoulders back. Stretching into the hamstring. Strings. We'll bend into the knee. Let the hip shift forward. Lengthen out through the crown of your head. Let's take a twist. Right hand to the hip. Rotating around. And then releasing that twist. You can leave the back knee on the floor if you like, or lift. Take the right leg straight again. Find just a little bit deeper stretch. So if it's for you, have the back knee up. If it's not, don't worry about it. And then bend back into the knee, sinking into the hips again. And maybe they come a little bit lower, but really stay stable and even on the hips. This is another place it's easy to sort of shift off to the side, right? Sweep the legs toward each other to help the hips stay square. Climb on up on the thigh. And then the more you lift the upper body, the bigger the stretch gets here. The hands can stay on the thigh or maybe reach up toward the ceiling. And this is as up as we're going to get today. So if this is good, this is good. If you still even want a little bit less, take it. Or more. We're going to release back over into the lunge and make our way back to down dog. Switching sides here, go ahead and step the left foot forward, dropping down to the back knee. Adjust if you need to adjust. Take the left leg straight when you're ready. Remember to watch that we don't hyperextend at the knee joint here. So maybe think soft little baby bend. And then bending back into the knee, come into that kneeling lunge and sink into the hips. And as the hips are descending, the crown of the head extends away. Adding in the twist here, left hand to the hip and rotating around. Release your twist. Choose knee up variation if you want back there. Left leg straight again. Working a little bit deeper if you're ready for that. And then bend back into the knee. Sink into the hips here. Leave the hips low as you lift the upper body. And then you go as vertical as you can with the upper body until you feel enough stretch. Leaving the hands on the thigh for support if you'd like, otherwise maybe extending the arms. If you are looking up here, be sure to keep the chin tucked toward the throat. If the head just falls back, you can pinch the cervical spine here, and we don't want to pinch there. We don't want to pinch anywhere. Let's release, come back over into your lunge, and make your way back to down dog. So let's go ahead and drop on down to the knees. And we're going to sit back into our child's pose again, but this time maybe have your knees a little wider. See if you can descend into the hips a little bit deeper maybe. Think belly between your thighs. And then we want to keep our knees wide. So you may want to adjust a little wider, a little bit more narrow, you decide. But we're going to keep the toes, the big toes touching each other and touching the floor. Let's come forward onto the hands and knees again. So you've got wide knees and the big toes touching each other and touching the floor, right? Keep that. Walk your hands forward and maybe drop on down to your elbows. Let your hips come down. And you're going to see if you can bring your belly to the floor. Maybe yes, maybe no. Maybe you need your knees wider, maybe not quite as wide. See if those toes will stay touching with the toes touching the floor. Otherwise, the hips don't come all the way down, and that's okay. Nice and easy, bring yourself back up again. And bring the knees back up underneath the hip bones. From here, we're going to sit back onto the heels. Just sit up nice and tall here. So if you need some cushion for your knees, go ahead and double up your mat. or triple or quadruple, or use a towel or a blanket or whatever you have. Come on up on the tops of the knees here. So the belly's pulled in, the tailbone is going to stay tucked under in an attempt to keep the hips right over the knees, right? If you do find that you're leaning, just try to lean back and center again. So the belly's pulled in, the legs are hugging toward each other to help keep the pelvis where it's supposed to be. The hands can do any number of things. You can interlace behind the back, you can extend, you can maybe take cactus even, or support on the lower back if you feel like you need that here. So a little bit of tucking, belly's working. We're going to draw the shoulder blades together regardless of where your hands are. So the chest opens. Now imagine lifting the chest up toward the ceiling. So you've created this little back bend here. And again, the hands are busy doing whatever they're doing here. That same idea, keeping the chin tucked in so your head's just not flopping back here. Opening the front of the body. The arms create a little bit more weight so you can use gravity even a little bit here. Take one more breath. With an inhale, make your way back up to neutral. And then just gently sit back on your heels again. So take just a moment. If you need to fix your mat, you can definitely fix your mat. We're going to make our way back to down dog. Let's shift forward and come into a plank. You can stay up off your knees. You can drop down to your knees here if you prefer. We're going to bend the elbows tight to the sides. Come on down to the belly. And then we're going to work locust while we're down here, right? So adjusting your body. While we're here, the tailbone stays turning toward the heels to keep the lower back long and happy. The arms down by the sides or maybe interlaced behind your back, right? So there are options, of course, with the arms. You can even extend them forward if you feel the need to do that, as long as the shoulders stay back. So for right now, leave your feet on the floor. Plant them down into the mat. Press down into the pelvis. Draw the shoulder blades together on the back. And extend the chest, right? Forward this time, like we extended up toward the ceiling just a second ago, or a minute ago, or whatever it's been. Let your upper belly be soft so you can breathe here. You may find that you rise and fall a little bit with the breath, and that's okay. We're going to release the upper body back down to the mat. Make a little pillow for your head here. And rest either your forehead or your chin on your pillow, just so your head stays neutral and you're not turning to the sides. And then we're going to work with just the lower body so the upper body gets a little bit of a break. Spread your toes really wide back there and imagine extending through the big toe, right? So you should feel the hamstrings start to work. Use the hamstrings and lift your legs away from the floor. Doesn't have to be high. We want the legs to be straight, not bent, and not really wide. It seems easier if the legs get wider, but we want them nice and in line with the rest of the hips. Take one more breath, and then release back down. So then let's put that together. Take the arms down by your sides. Interlacing behind the back if that's where you want them to be. Otherwise, just down the sides works. Press down into the pelvis. Pull the shoulder blades together. Lift the chest. Extend through the big toes. Make the legs really long. And then maybe lift them up off the floor. Let the body rise and fall, or the belly rise and fall with the breath. Maybe make you rock a little bit. And then go ahead and release back down. Make that little pillow for your head again. Allow your toes to kind of turn toward each other back there. And then just gently kind of shift back and forth on your hips, rock. Let the back muscles rest for a moment. We're not quite done here. And if you really love locust, you can practice that again, or we can maybe move a little bit deeper this time. So, bending at the knees, see about finding your feet. Maybe just one foot at a time. Sometimes that's as good as it gets, yeah? Same idea though, the tailbone tucks down so you don't feel any pinching in your lower back. The knees want to be wide, it seems to be easier. Don't let them be wide, let them be neutral. They don't have to touch, but you don't want them wide. You can hang onto your ankles, flex your feet, maybe that helps hang on. And when you kick the feet away from the hips, the shoulders draw back just because they're hanging on, right? You can keep that idea. You can curl the chest, lifting, right? Extending. Maybe kick the feet more, maybe lift your thighs. Rise and fall with the breath. Release it. Come on down to the belly again. Make that same little pillow for your head. Resting the head, maybe drawing the toes toward each other and rocking back and forth on the hips again. So nice and easy from here. Take your hands next to your side ribs, hugging in the elbows. Gently make your way back up into maybe kneeling plank, full plank if you really feel the need. Gently back into a child's pose. Take your time getting there. The body wants to fold forward after a back bend, but you don't want to slam it from one to the other. Let's take it into a down dog again. Nice big full body stretch here. And then we'll drop back down to the knees and bring the legs around front. So we're going to start with the legs extended out long. Sitting up nice and tall here. Make sure you're upright on the pelvis again, just like where we started. Flex your feet, toes pointing up. So the legs are active. We're going to extend the arms. And then let the upper body fold. The hands fall where they fall. And even here, it's not a back bend, but think extending from the chest toward the toes, rather than the crown of your head falling or your shoulders reaching. We'll take another nice big breath. With an inhale, let's come back up. And we're going to release the arms. So let's take the feet open into a straddle. And you can turn sideways on your mat if you're more comfortable with that, wherever, doesn't matter. And go until you feel a nice little stretch in the inner hip. It does not have to be crazy wide. But we want the pelvis to be upright, the toes to be pointing up toward the ceiling. So adjust your feet in or out based on that idea. And keep an eye as we move a little bit deeper into these places. You may be able to open up, or maybe your body is done with it already and you need to close it up, right? So just do what you need to do for yourself here. Good in the hip for whatever reason. So sitting up nice and tall, belly pulled in. Let's reach the arms up. We're going to rotate the belly around to the left and then fold yourself over this leg. Let your hands just fall to the floor. Make sure the right cheek stays on the mat though. Again, leading with the chest here toward the toes rather than the fingers or the head. And if you'd like, press harder into your left hand and see if you can feel your belly button rotate more toward the left leg here. With an inhale, make your way back up. Rotate to the right and do the exact same thing here, whether it looks the same or not. Our sides may or may not be very even, so you just kind of go with what's there. Rotating the belly around toward the thigh if that's you. And then with an inhale, make your way back up to the middle, releasing your arms. We're going to take that left hand, pin it up underneath the right thigh. Sit up really tall here. Take the right arm reaching up, and then we're going to tip over toward the left toes, but forget those toes. See if you can bring your elbow to the inner thigh here. And then if you can take it to the floor, take it to the floor, certainly. You're going to use your elbow against your thigh this time to turn your belly toward the ceiling. And the shoulder maybe draws back a little bit deeper, extending out the crown of the head here. Feeling long. Still even on the pelvis. If you feel like you're rocking to the side, find center on the pelvis again. With an inhale, make your way back up. And then we'll switch. Right hand under the left thigh here, reaching the left arm up, hinging over to the right, bringing the elbow to the inner thigh as much as you can to the mat if that's you, pressing against it to draw the belly around. One more breath. And then come on back to center. Release your hands to the middle. Still sitting up nice and tall. So lead with your chest here. Maybe let's lead with the belly button. Think hinging forward, belly button to the floor between the thighs. Ish. So keeping the spine long, the hands do what they do. If you find that with the hands reaching forward, it rounds your upper back. If you feel the need to reach out instead, and hopefully that helps draw the shoulders back. Let's take one more breath here. With an inhale, we're going to come back up again. And then bring the legs back together. And you can kind of bounce them around a little bit. So from here, let's go ahead and step the right foot over the left. So if this is not possible, right? Ideally, we want this right foot to the floor. And if that doesn't work out, you can always have it to the inside. And then there's tons of options still with the legs, right? You can stay here. This foot can be more toward the ankle if it needs to be. It can be more up toward the hip if that's where you can go. And then maybe the left foot, or the left knee really, bends and the heel comes in front of the right sit bone. So maybe yes, maybe no with the legs, right? You do what you can do here. We're gonna sit up really tall. Take that left arm and wrap it around the leg. And then the right arm behind your back, just a gentle little press into the floor to keep the spine really tall. And you can pull against the leg to rotate around into your twist here. The pelvis is even, the spine is really tall. Release the twist, keep your feet where they are. So if you have the one leg extended or the right leg on the inside of the thigh, this next piece is not going to make any sense to you whatsoever. Putting it out there, right? If you can, bring your shins so that they're more parallel to the top of the mat. So this left foot, it's crossed and backwards. It's like, what foot is this? This left foot, instead of having your heel by your hip, bring it out a little bit so it's more parallel. If it was straight and you can bring it there, then maybe bring it there. See what happens. And instead of having the right foot flat with the knee up, see if you can take your right foot to the left so that the knees kind of stack-ish. So they might sort of be stacked, but this right hip might not be on the floor anymore, right? See if you can ground it. Sink into your hips as relaxed and even into the floor as you can. That sounds crazy. Take your left arm out and bring that in front. We're going to take the right arm underneath, weave the hand between your forearm and your face, and see if you can catch your fingers. Right? So if you don't catch your fingers, or if you just want to, just grab opposite shoulder. And then like your knees are stacked, imagine stacking your elbows. And then maybe the fingers will catch. Maybe still not. Don't worry about that too much. Relax your shoulders just like you relaxed your hips. Extend out through the crown of your head. Take a couple of nice big breaths. Release your arms. And so this seems really complicated, but it's really very simple. The brain makes this so much harder. So you can push off with your hands back here. We're going to come forward out onto the knees. So lifting your bottom up off the floor. Tuck your toes under. And then the feet are not going to move. Lift your knees up off the floor. Take your hands and walk them around to your left. And you're going to keep walking left. Rotate on your toes. The feet do not move. Keep walking around to the left, walking around to the left, walking around to the left until you're back toward the top of your mat. When you're there, drop your knees and sit your hips back. So your brain made that really hard, and it really didn't have to be. So adjusting the feet if they didn't stay in the right place. Ideally, you're on your second side. Ideally. So adjust if you need to adjust, of course. And then the same idea, the knees are stacked. Ideally, the pelvis is nice and level. Your spine is really tall. Your hips are relaxing. Maybe. And then we'll stretch the shoulders on this side. So the right arm out, bring it in front. And then the left arm under, and maybe the fingers catch, or you grab your shoulders and you stack your elbows. Let's take one more breath here. And then release the arms. And we're going to take our twist on the second side. So if your legs are happy where they are, maybe you can bring your right heel back. Maybe that left foot is flat. Maybe the right leg needs to extend again. The left foot to the inside of the right leg. All of those adjustments over here as well, if that's where you need to be. So we play where we are and we see what we can do, right? Take the right arm, wrap it around, the left arm behind the back. Sitting really tall, again, using the leg to pull around a little more or a little less if that's where you are. And then release, coming back to center. Unhook your legs and just take them out, stretch them out a little bit. Maybe walk them or walk 'em, wobble them around a little. And then let's bring the soles of the feet together. Hang on to your ankles here. Holding against your ankles, you can sit really tall. So leading with the chest again. Elbows to the inner hips here, pressing down as you hinge belly button toward heels-ish. And then go ahead and hinge back up, sitting up tall. If you are far back on your mat, you'll want to scoot forward first because we're going to lean back just enough to balance for a moment. C curving the spine, allow yourself to round down. Keep the soles of the feet together, but let them come to the floor and just rest your knees out to the sides. We'll bring the knees back together and then hug them into the chest, rock a little here. Let's keep the knees hugging into the chest and take your shins vertical. So it looks kind of like you're stepping up on the ceiling here. Reach up and grab for the soles of your feet. If you want to get all fancy, you can kind of reach back behind your heels and grab for the outsides. We've worked into those hips a little bit. So if that's you, go. Otherwise, just having your feet might be a big accomplishment. So play, right? Pulling down on your feet. See if you can draw your knees closer to your armpits. Maybe wiggle around a little bit, rock side to side. I like to kind of feel like I'm steering my body around using my feet. Silly and goofy, I know. Coming center, pull down evenly on the feet again, draw the knees down as much as they're gonna get. And then instead of hanging onto the feet themselves, take your index and middle fingers, wrap them around your big toes if you're wearing socks like I am, because it's cold out, that might be challenging. But do what you can do here. See if you can take your legs straighter and wider. Maybe they're very straight, maybe they're very wide, maybe they are neither of those things. Don't worry about it. Go where your body goes. And then the same idea, kind of wiggle around a little bit. See if you can rock side to side and take your pinky toe to touch the floor. You might be able to do this and barely move, right? It might be a big rock and flop over to the side, right? Wherever, have fun with this. And then just come back to center. See if you can let the legs relax. Let your arms be a little bit of extra weight.
Trying to get the legs to open a little bit. And then bend back at the knees. Grab the soles of the feet again. Hold down on your feet and see if now the knees are a little bit deeper than they were initially. Keep the arms pulling down, but now kick the feet back into the hands. So you've got a little bit of push and pull going on. And then we'll release that, taking the feet flat to the floor again. So let's open the arms into a T position here. Pick up the hips, move them to the right edge of your mat, and drop the knees over to the left. Let your legs rest down to the side. Make sure the spine feels long. See if you can rest your shoulders deeper into the mat. You can look over your right hand if you want to add that little piece in, of course. Extending the right leg if you want to add a little bit extra. Maybe both legs. We've stretched out those hamstrings pretty good. So making that twist yours, taking it as deep or not as you like. If you did take your legs straight, go ahead and bend back at the knee, and we're going to make our way back up to the middle. And then switch sides. So the hips left and the knees right. Same idea on this side. Just make your body as comfortable as it can get. Allow yourself to rest into it, at least for a moment. See what gravity will do for you. And then, of course, if you want to add more, straighten the leg or legs. You go there. One more nice big breath. Bending back at the knees if you took them straight. Let's come back to center. And we'll have both knees back to the chest. Give yourself that little rock again here. And then squeeze in. Pull the knees in as tight to the chest as they're going to get. Pull your forehead toward your knees. And release that into a full body stretch. Release your stretch and let your arms come down by your sides. Take a moment if you feel like you need to wiggle or adjust. Allowing yourself to get super comfortable here. And then release into the mat. Let the muscles relax, every single one of them, from the top of your head down through your toes. Release the muscles that control your breath. Let that breath just do what it does. Keeping the mind quiet.
You find your attention wandering away, just bring it back. And give yourself just a few minutes here. Let the body rest, and let the mind relax. Slowly draw in a deep, cleansing breath, and then let that all go. Begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Move and stretch through your arms and your legs. Maybe take another full body stretch if that sounds good. When you're ready, take the feet flat to the floor. Gently roll yourself over to the side. Take a moment here. Keep your eyes closed, your mind nice and quiet, and gently make your way back up to seated. Sitting well, and bringing the palms to touch. Bowing to the light within. Namaste. So I hope you got enough work, but not too much. enjoy your holidays. I won't see you before Christmas. And again, next weekend, no live yoga here, but live retreats through anydayyoga.com. I've got the link on YouTube already. I will get it in the comments of the Facebook page there. Check it out. It's going to be a lot of fun. I've got some really great things in store for you guys. I can't wait. I'm exciting myself. So that's great. Have a wonderful week. Have a happy holidays. If I don't see you before then, it'll be New Year's, right? So have a wonderful holiday. Happy New Year. And let's move on to 2021. All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining me. Enjoy what's left of your weekend. I don't know what just happened.